Hello. Sage Sue back for another video about aging well and owning our aging in positive, meaningful, and empowering ways. I think I'm thinking about what I wanted to do for this new video since I recorded one a few weeks ago. And I was looking at the calendar and realizing I'm coming up on the year anniversary of a pretty big transformation and transition time for me. You could even call it as big as going from a cocoon into a butterfly, which is a pretty kind of messy process at times, but the end result is pretty damn good, right? Well, a year ago, almost, I was suddenly thrown out of this big box of work where full-time work was my priority and thrown into, not that direction, this other direction of retirement pretty fast, much faster than I had really planned on. The company I was working for was having some financial issues, and they ended up cutting a number of positions, including mine. It was right at my birthday time. I was at an age where I could go into full retirement for my benefits, and I just figured, okay, let's go with it. Let's roll with it. But that didn't mean I was done with that transition. It just meant that I kind of made that initial decision. So the last year is all about going through that process for me in my life, just as maybe many of you are doing too, since there's a whole bunch of us at this age right now. I did go back because I've been, doing work in the aging field for a long time. And I did go back right away to this thinking about purpose, that retirement is not about not working. It's about redirecting our efforts towards other purposeful pursuits. And I think that's really important at this time in our lives where we are aging differently. So many of us are aging well. And it's a very murky area, retirement. There's people like Warren Buffett that's retiring in his 90s. A friend of mine in my Thrive group is close to 80. He just retired. You have people in their 50s that are retiring. So there's a wide spectrum of people deciding on this transition and how they do it. There's not one way to do this anymore. So it's opened up a new world for us, I think, in a lot of cool ways. When I thought about kind of how you do this purposefully, go through that transition, and this is something I just recently developed, and it's something you've probably seen in my videos recently, but I like that this man developed this hierarchy of retirement needs. And he talked about the relaxers, the givers, and the growers. I added this bottom level, which is recover, which I think is so important when we go through that phase, just giving ourselves that initial recovery time. And that's what I did. I just really said, oh, great, I get to recover. I'd had some physical issues. I'd had surgery earlier in the year. I put most of my purpose focus into recovering those first few months. And a lot of people need to do this and maybe jump over this too quickly. And I added the recurring thing because it's something I think we have to keep coming back to anytime we make any big change or transition, is remembering about this important level of recovery before we shift up into the giving and the growing stages. And also just learning to relax. I use this slide several times early on. I call this stopping and smelling the roses time of life, where all of a sudden we have more time to, spend with friends, to, just have fun, relax, and not feel like we're just in that hurry world anymore. So I think that's an important purpose for this time, and it's definitely something I put more effort into. Relaxing with rest time in the afternoon, relaxing with reading time in the afternoon, not just at the end of the day. Starting new creative projects, puzzles, things that just calm me down, and I love that I can spend time doing this kind of stuff, which wasn't possible in my working years. Great gift. I also went back to the idea of what I'd used in prior teachings of mine, which was to talk about the balanced life plan, where, again, we're learning, we're still learning. Yes, we're relaxing and having fun, and we keep that purpose alive, fully alive. This is not a time just to disengage from life. That's the old way of thinking about it, where we jumped into, that box of retirement and just stuck here. No, we can bring in other things, education, work in different ways, not just view it as another box to jump into and be limited by. So thinking about the ideas that we can do to pursue purpose, like I said, I took a lot of classes this past year, learning new things, and then just, again, the having fun thing. There's nothing wrong, there's nothing wrong with that. The bigger piece that I think is a lot more complicated is to really kind of back into, now that I'm not working or you're not working, what's our reason to get up in the morning? Especially if that was the driving force for you for years and years and years. And I like this quote I read. This is in a book, a yoga teaching book, daily reading book. And this is what she wrote a few weeks ago. She goes, "You know what lights you up. You know what gets you out of bed in the morning. Your passion may not make $1 million, but it's meaningful because it's yours. There is a gift within you. Not allowing that gift to come forth cheats you of the experience of feeling truly and unapologetically you. And not sharing your gift with the world prevents the world from receiving the reason you are here." So I've tried things, I've put a lot of effort into this, and this is still a work in process. This is not something that just happens in a couple of minutes, but I'm thrilled that I got an Aging Well group started at my church, and I'm meeting new people and already hearing from the group members that I am meeting a need for them by organizing this and offering this and facilitating this in our church community. I'm maybe doing some more speaking, keep learning about this time of life so I can keep sharing it with others. And again, kind of figuring out what that balance is for me between putting lots of energy into the purpose and to the accomplishment area, and yet not giving it up either. So it's a balancing act between all of these things. I just encourage you, if you haven't found your purpose, your passion, to keep seeking it out. And remember, like the writer of that yoga book said, it doesn't have to make millions of dollars. It just has to be something that's really meaningful to you. So find that, bring it into your life, and make sure every week at least contains some of that for you, because that will give you a lot bigger reason to get up in the morning. And that's really important as we go out in time for our aging well. As always, don't miss out. The rest of your life begins now. I'm going into close to a new year, second year of this transition process for me. I'm excited about kind of the next steps for this. If you're beginning it in the middle or at the end, realize you can always kind of restart this process and kind of revisit where you are, because I don't think that stays stable either. I hope this helps. Again, keep going, keep thriving with life, and I hope you have a great end of May. Take care. Bye.